Happy 2020, a new year, wintertime, a new decade. And again, what's this new year going to bring? I'm already feeling so much intensity with some of the energies that are coming up within myself, that I'm feeling globally around the entire world. I'm feeling around my family. I'm feeling around myself, that this is already going to be a year of great change, great shift. And it might not be something that we immediately notice, but it's definitely going to put a big ball rolling for change in a better way. And not just change within ourselves, but I feel like the change is going to be much bigger than ourselves. Like we're going to notice some big changes in, say, our economy or our government. Definitely, we're going to see some big changes in our government this year, and some big changes in even kind of just humanity itself, the way that maybe humanity pulls together, and the way that humanity maybe has new perspectives on life. So one thing that I think about every single time big change comes about is what stops us from really following through with change. What stops us with having lasting change? When we see it, we visualize it, we plan it, we create our vision boards. What stops us from actually achieving some of that? And I really go back to the energies. I see energetic blocks. And some of those energetic blocks that are the strongest are the ones that we put around our heart. The biggest change that's going to come from our truest self, that's going to be living our life of our purest purpose, is going to be the changes that come from the heart. The changes that when we listen to our heart and our heart speaks, whatever our heart says, that's going to be what's going to make the greatest change in our life. And if we can actually get out of the mind, quiet it down, settle down into the heart space and see what really lies into the depths of our soul, and we move from that place of courage, that's where we're going to see some big, big, big changes. And the heart often has what's called a heart wall, energetic blocks, balls of energy that get blocked around our heart. And these energetic blocks often stem from so early in childhood that it's sometimes hard to even really recall the memories. It could be something so small that we were crying in our bed and nobody came to our attention, and it immediately made us feel abandoned or vulnerable or alone. And that was so painful at that moment. It's not that big of a deal when we see it now, but so painful emotionally at that moment that we built this energetic block around our heart to protect us from feeling that pain again. And then as we continue life, other situations, breakups, situations we see in our parents, in our culture, in our society, have put more and more of those walls around our heart to protect us from the pains that are around us in our environment, in our world. And so because of all of those heart walls and all of those blocks, we find it really hard to actually go about moving through change, because we find ourselves protecting ourselves, or even what we would call self-sabotage, because we don't want to do anything that's new or a little bit scary, because the vulnerability that that's going to create, we've already blocked our heart from being vulnerable. We don't want any heartache, so we're just going to stay in situations that sometimes create excess pain, and we're just going to put up thicker walls around our heart to keep us from really having to deal with them. And so that keeps us from also moving forward and creating greater change within our world, within the societies that we see, within what we think is normal is so not normal, and from making that change within ourselves that's going to be bold enough to stand up for some things that our heart is speaking, saying, wait a minute, this isn't right. So one thing to do is remove those heart walls. And it's not always as easy as it sounds. We can energetically just remove these heart walls. We all have that power within ourselves to remove our own heart walls, to remove any kind of blocked energy. But we haven't been trained to do this. We've actually been kind of left alone and been just hanging out there with nobody telling us how to move through some of these painful situations or these energetic blocks. So I do energetic work, removing heart walls, removing energetic trapped emotions from our bodies, and helping to free some of that. And I would be more than willing to work with any person to remove some of these heart walls. But one thing to do is also visualize in your own mind's eye, what is it that creates sometimes the most pain? Instead of running from it, be curious. Be curious about the pains that you feel. If you feel a trigger from some person, usually those closest to you, and immediately it makes you feel fumed and fiery inside, when you feel that trigger and it comes off, instead of running away from it, blocking yourself from it, or reacting with some extreme anger, bolting back at whoever is triggering you, feel the trigger, sit with it, be okay with the way that it feels. Be okay with anger or discomfort or frustration or disappointment. And then pause for a moment and question, why does this make me feel angry? Oftentimes when we feel underneath the emotion, we can see right underneath it lies the answer. Perhaps it makes you feel angry because way back in your childhood, you and your siblings used to always have these arguments, and you guys would fight and argue, and it brings up some of those situations where your older sibling would not let you win, and if you tried to win, would sit on your head and push yourself down until you've surrendered and gave up. And that idea of having to surrender to something that you wanted to stand up for was so frustrating that it put this wall against your heart so that you wouldn't protect yourself. Maybe those triggers are coming up to help resurface some of these old emotions. In 2 or 3 sessions, we can remove that heart wall completely. Sessions are about 30 minutes. I just work through your subconscious, helping to find what's built up there and get it away through energy. And whatever we find, we can remove in about 3 sessions. If we can't remove it in 3 sessions, 4 is about the max. But if you can find it yourself, and you can definitely utilize the tools of curiosity, asking the questions why. Why? I'm curious. Why does this affect me? Why is this still making me so mad? Why do I feel what they say is so important? Is it questioning my self-worth? Am I losing value by what they think about me? Something to think about. Removing those heart walls.